There is a silent, legislative countdown clock ticking inside your bank account. And by 2026, it's designed to self-destruct your middle-class lifestyle. You aren't struggling with money because you're undisciplined. You're struggling because you're trying to win a game where the referees are actively changing the score while you're at work. That heavy feeling in your chest every time you check your bank account isn't your lack of discipline speaking. That is the sound of a system designed to extract your energy before you even get a chance to use it. You are trying to run a marathon in waist-deep water. Imagine it's April 2026. You hit calculate on your tax return, expecting a refund to pay off your credit card, but the screen flashes red. You owe the IRS $1,200. You didn't spend more. No, you didn't earn less, and you didn't fail. The system just quietly pulled the rug out from under you. A trap that was quietly set for you 8 years ago has finally sprung. The hourglass has been running this entire time, and instead of sand, it's your hard-earned money pouring into a black hole. Let's look at the raw, cold reality of how your paycheck actually disappears. Take a completely average 32-year-old making $85,000 a year. On paper, 85 grand sounds like a solid middle-class victory. Strip away the illusion. After taxes, insurance, and the bare minimum for retirement, your actual take-home pay is likely struggling to even cross the $5,000 mark. You're losing nearly 40% of your life's work before it even hits your pocket. Your rent for a modest apartment is $2,200. Your student loans and your car payment drain another $900. Groceries, gas, basic utilities, and healthcare easily consume another $1,500. By the time you reach the end of the month, you're left with just over $1,000 to cover every other unpredictable cost of simply being alive. There is an entire industry of financial commentators who love to yell at you through a screen. They love to tell you that you're broke because you buy a latte on your way to work, or because you occasionally order a meal delivery on a Friday night. They want to convince you that your financial stress is a personal moral failure. That is a mathematically illiterate lie. When your brain is completely drained from 50 hours of navigating corporate stress, when you're running on empty, buying a $20 meal or keeping a streaming subscription isn't an act of stupidity. It isn't financial irresponsibility. It's survival dopamine. It's a tiny, fleeting moment of comfort in an exhaustion economy designed by the smartest engineers in the world to extract the last remaining drops of your disposable income. You're not buying a burger. You're buying back 30 minutes of peace. We have to look at the invisible architecture of our tax system. We have to look at an orchestrated silence. Back in 2017, the government passed a sweeping piece of legislation called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. It was branded as a massive financial relief package for everyone. When you actually read the fine print, you realized that the political elite were playing a very different game of chess. They handed massive, permanent tax cuts to the largest corporations in the country. Those corporate tax breaks don't expire. They're written in pen. But for you, for the person making 85 grand just trying to keep the lights on, they wrote your tax cuts in pencil. They installed something called a sunset provision. Your tax relief had a strict expiration date attached to it from the very beginning. Why would they do that? It's simple, cold math. They needed the national budget to look somewhat balanced on paper. To get the law passed, they knew that by making your tax cuts temporary, the spreadsheet would eventually balance itself on the backs of the working class. They knew that by the time 2026 rolled around, you would be far too busy, far too stressed, and far too tired to notice. There will be no breaking news alerts on your phone. There will be no grand televised debates on Capitol Hill defending your paycheck. It's a quiet, automatic, legally sanctioned adjustment. It's the perfect theft because it requires absolutely no one to pull a trigger. It just happens. Let's look at the actual heist. The safety nets you're counting on right now are about to shrink. Those tax brackets you've built your life around, they're snapping back like a trap, grabbing an extra 3 cents of every dollar you earn before you even see it. Think about the standard deduction. That is the chunk of your income the government currently lets you keep completely tax-free before they start taking their cut. Right now, it's a healthy shield against taxation. In 2026, that shield gets chopped in half. If you're a parent relying on the child tax credit to help cover the crushing cost of daycare and diapers, prepare for that credit to plummet by 50%. If you do absolutely nothing, you're defaulting to an agreement. You're silently giving the system permission to skim another 5 to 10% straight off the top of your livelihood. This isn't inflation. This isn't the rising cost of eggs or gasoline. This is an automatic pay cut disguised as a legislative expiration. Being thrown into this economic meat grinder isn't your fault. You didn't write the tax code, and you don't have a lobbyist sitting in Washington negotiating your salary. While it's not your fault that you're in this game, refusing to play by their default rules is your absolute privilege. We need to reframe how you think about your money. Stop looking at saving as just putting numbers on a screen. Don't save money just to hoard it. You need to use your money to build a runway. You need to use your math as a shield to protect your life energy. Tomorrow, take 5 minutes to reclaim your liquidity. Open your tax settings and stop giving the government a zero-interest loan from your paycheck. It's your money. Put it back in your pocket where it can actually breathe. Adjust your withholdings so that you keep your cash flowing into your own accounts every single month. Keep your money in your hands where it can serve you, not them. Build your defensive wall using your adjusted gross income. Your AGI is the single most important number in your financial life. It's the number the government looks at to determine how much they can take from you. Your ultimate weapon against the 2026 tax cliff is to legally lower that number. You do this by maximizing your traditional 401k or your traditional IRA. When you push money into these accounts, you need to stop thinking of it merely as saving for a retirement that is 30 years away. That's a byproduct. What you're actually doing today in the present moment is legally erasing your current income from the radar of the IRS. You're pulling your money out of the line of fire. Every single dollar you route into a traditional 401k is a dollar that the sunset provision cannot touch. If you make $85,000 and you put $10,000 into your traditional 401k, as far as the tax system is concerned, you only made $75,000. You just starved the 2026 tax cliff of its fuel. You're building invisible architecture that works for you, not against you. While the hourglass is draining, you aren't helpless. You don't need to change the weather in Washington to build a firewall around your own paycheck. Your life energy is the most valuable asset you have. You trade your time, your focus, and your physical health for those dollars. Don't let them quietly slip away just because the rules were written in a room you weren't invited to. It's time to take a quiet, calculated stand. Keep untangling these invisible rules. Keep building a defensive shield around your money with cold, rational math. Protect your energy. Protect your math.